Good morning, everybody. You gotta kind of excuse. I have my little dog and my cats are just running through here all over today. They're crazy. And yesterday they had the live stream of BAD. A lot of you guys watch it. Some aren't familiar with it, but Bad Association Dissenters. And on Fridays they have a live stream. Well, somebody mentioned that I had been talking to some attorneys about the cases of the sex abuse in Jehovah's Witnesses and the emotional and psychological abuse, and I wanted to let everybody know what I had discovered from the attorneys. First of all, I thought at first that we could do a class action lawsuit against Watchtower, and as a class action of the abuses that people had received while in the organization. But see, it doesn't even work that way, evidently, legally speaking. So this is what I found. The sex abuse is categorized differently. It has different statutes of limitations, and just so you know, this is what they said, was that regardless of when your sexual abuse took place inside the organization, you have some places you have until you're 20 years old to file, and in most places it's 5 years to file after you wake up, which I think is very difficult for a lot of people, because I remember and I've seen that when people are less than 5 years out, they're still greatly traumatized by the organization and frightened of possibly suing them, because they may have family members still inside and they don't want to cause a ruckus. You know, they don't want to make it bad or make their family members even more turned off about possibly leaving the organization. Because if a person decides to sue the organization and your family's still in there, I think that it creates a lot of stress and fear and anxiety in a person, and I don't think it's very likely that they would do that in the first 5 years of waking up. Some people wake up inside and it takes them 5 years to get out and away, and they lose that time slot. But if anybody out there is thinking about leaving or has just left and has been a victim of sexual abuse inside the organization, please, by all means, get yourself a lawyer and get some compensation for that. Don't be afraid. The organization has settled with lots of people, and most people they settle with without even going to the courtroom, because they don't want the media to catch wind of it and for there to be a big legal battle. They're worried about their reputation, you know that. So they try to settle before it even goes to court. So a lot of people don't even hear about all the cases, but there's been a lot of cases for a lot of money settled, private people against the Watchtower organization, and there are lawyers out there that predominantly handle cases against Watchtower and the bigger organizations like the Catholic Church and others. As far as the emotional and psychological damages that people have suffered because of the organization, emotional and psychological damage is very difficult to bring to court. And that's the problem, that I guess why people haven't done it before. But this is how it works. In order to bring the Watchtower Corporation slash organization to court for emotional and psychological damage, you have to have documentation from therapists, counselors, and such. But a lot of counselors and therapists will tell you from the very beginning, like they did me, that um, whatever you talk to them about is confidential, and there's no way that they can supply you with forms if you ever want to sue anybody over damages. They're not going to be able to do that for you. So I don't know how a person could get documentation to prove that they've gone to counseling and therapy for problems that occurred because of the organization, because so many places tell you straight out that they, the way they're set up, they will not and cannot do that. If anybody out there has the documentation, and I know there are several people that I've talked to that have documentations going back years, well, you could do something about it. If you contact me, I know of which lawyers will do that, which attorneys, excuse me, will do that. But they tell you from the beginning that it's a long, drawn-out process. It takes a long time. You might suffer anxiety just over that. So it's difficult. So seeing as I have no documentation from my counseling and therapy, there's really nothing I can do about it. I can say that it happened. I know that it happened. My therapist knows that it happened. But there's really nothing you can do about it legally unless you have a bunch of documentation. And if you do, bless your heart. Go ahead and do it. You'll have a lot of people supporting you and applauding you the whole way. Go ahead, be my guest. I encourage people to do it. Somebody should. And if you're thinking about getting out because you have problems, try and get documentation on every single thing, whatever you can, and get some satisfaction from that. You know, bring them to court, make them do something about it. Let it be known. The attorneys that I talked to explain the things to me. A class action suit, it's a wonderful idea, and I had wondered why somebody else hadn't done it long ago until I started researching it, and I was like, oh, that's why. You know, hardly any of us have documentation to prove what Watchtower did to us and how we suffered and how we do suffer. You know, it's a lifelong adjustment to adjust to a real world when you've been raised and grown up around and in a fantasy land, you know, and y'all know what I mean. But if anybody has any questions about it, or if you do have the documentation and it's something you want to pursue, just let me know, and I'll steer you in the right direction. But as far as what I had started out to do, it doesn't look like I'm personally going to be able to do anything. But like I say, if any of you think that you are able to prove those things and want to do something about it, I can give you the names of the attorneys that handle those things, and I'll be more than happy to do it for you. So just let me know. Have a good day, everybody. Been fun. See ya.